Welcome to PsychicBent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic.
Welcome back, PsychicBent listeners, to our episode today, which is going to be on psychic vampires. Last episode, we talked about the Trail of Tears, but before that episode, we talked about psychic attacks. And, Kim and I are talking offline that a psychic vampire is actually giving you a psychic attack. It's just different. Wouldn't you agree, Kim?
Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah.
Yes. And so it's very important to be able to understand, first of all, what a psychic vampire is. And we're going to go into that today. And also what the symptoms are when you are under attack by a psychic vampire. And then Kim's going to go into some of the ways to protect yourself. Before we jump into that, though, we just want to say hello to a special listener.
We do.
Yeah. Rich in LA. Hello.
Hi, Rich. It was really great receiving your email.
Yeah, we loved it. Thank you so much, Rich. So Rich in LA, thanks. 2 thumbs up.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Kim, do you want to jump on in with psychic vampires?
Sure, no problem at all. Now, there are technically several different categories of psychic vampires, quote unquote, these energy suckers out there. One is like a psychic vampire, which attacks you at a psychic level. Then there's the emotional vampire, which feeds off of emotions. And then there is the energy vampire that really takes your energy from you. We're just going to combine them all into one. We're just going to say energy vampire, psychic vampire. If we will use those interchangeable, even though technically they are different because their need is different, but it's all coming from the same place and going to the same place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because a psychic attack is usually brought on by jealousies, things like that, where the vampire is craving this energy, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they know what they're doing usually.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do isn't necessarily based on jealousy or resentment. It's got, they just basically, what's the word I want to use there, Kim?
Well, they just have, I think what you're trying to say is that they just have a need to, well, technically they're trying to absorb your energies, emotions, or
Right.
your abilities or whatever. They trying to absorb it to make themselves feel better.
Right. Because narcissist kept coming into my mind. I'm like, that's not the word I want to use. That's not the word I want to use. But it's like, narcissist, that's not the word I want to use. So evidently I want to use it, but narcissist is what kept popping into my head.
You do want to use that. It's because it is one of the types of energy vampires that are
Wow.
out there. So, yeah.
Thank you, Spirit, for being persistent with that. Because I go like, narcissist. I don't want to say that. Like, I don't think that goes.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that there's different types. They're searching for different things to fulfill themselves.
Exactly.
An energy vampire, the traits are generally that they themselves lack empathy, consideration, or even emotional maturity. And as a result, the pain and insecurities and what they feel inside causes them to get addicted to and prey on people that are healers or that have the high energy. They're easy prey, more or less. They are drawn to people with light and that are filled with energy and joy and happiness and things like that. They gravitate towards them. And an energy vampire could be anyone that you know. It could be friends, family members, people you work with, acquaintances, children, romantic partners. It could be anybody in your life. If you're a highly empathic and caring person, it's possible that you're attracting these energy vampires directly into your life because they're drawn to you because of the power of your psychic abilities going out, your energy that you're projecting, and the vibrations that you're putting out. They're drawn to that like moths to a flame. If you are technically a highly sensitive person that really doesn't know or enforce setting boundaries, well, chances are you've got you've got energy vampires all around you. They're everywhere,
I agree.
because you've just
Yes.
drawn them all to you, no matter what.
And sometimes it seems they're nonstop, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times they are unaware that that's what they are. They are unconsciously drawn to you and sucking your energy. We say it's sucking energy. It's just that they are absorbing. They're more or less unconsciously calling your energy from you to them. And by doing that, they're trying to, like I said, make themselves feel better, make themselves happier, because they are depressed. They could be depressed. They could be jealous. They could be angry. They could be just in pain, or whatever the case may be. And they're trying to make themselves feel better. And you are not responsible for making the energy vampires, emotional vampires, psychic vampires to feel better. You're not there to work on them.
Yeah. If you're constantly helping them, they never learn the basics of taking care of themselves.
Right.
As a highly empathic person who is a giver, this is where those boundaries need to come in, where cord cutting needs to be done if you recognize that you've been a victim,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not helping them, you're enabling them, and you're being harmed in the process because you're losing your energy.
Right. Because they're draining it from you. And the
Yeah.
more you stay around them trying to help them, which we're going to get into some types which will help you understand what different types are really draining your energy, and you may not be aware of it because you haven't identified that that's what they are yet. It could take over your life. It could end up leaving you feeling chronically fatigued and depressed and anxious, irritable, angry, just so tired, that you just can't even get up out of bed or lift a fork to your mouth to feed yourself, because that's how they leave you, because you've been trying to help them or be there for them. And it'll all make sense.
Yeah.
There are 6 main types of these energy vampires that are out there. And I know we kind of mentioned these in the episode that we did early on, where we did discuss energy vampires before. But we'll go in a little bit more detail. So, for instance, the first one is the victim or the martyr vampire. And these vampires, they prey off of your guilt. They believe that they are at the mercy of the world and suffer because of other people. And instead of taking self-responsibility for their lives and what they've done in their lives and what's happening to them, they blame, they manipulate, and they can even cause emotional blackmail on other people. This behavior is due to their own extreme low self-esteem. So they're trying to make themselves better or feel better or raise themselves up because they can blame other people. And that'll make them feel good, knowing those other people feel bad about themselves because they've pushed the issues off onto them. As their issues can stem from lack of love, validation, or approval as children. They didn't get all those things. So they feel fundamentally unworthy and unacceptable because that's how they were treated as children. Because a lot of these things develop because of traumas that you've had in your childhood and your development and as you grow. And they can try to resolve this pain that they're feeling by underhandedly gaining sympathy and empathy from people by making you feel guilty.
I think they hone this skill, as they get older, as they grow.
Yeah, I think they develop it
Mm-hmm.
because they need more and more and more. So the only way to get that is to make certain that people are drawn to them, or they can, get that feeling from those people. Yeah, I agree with you. With the victim martyr vampire, you have to be aware of their little self-pity cues where they're wanting you to feel sorry for them. A self-pity cue could be the person's tendency to blame other people for their suffering, or perhaps a description of how terrible their day has been. Well, don't get involved in that. Limit your interactions with them as much as possible when you have determined that that this person is that type of energy vampire. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I think the hardest part is identifying it.
Yeah.
No matter which one of these six, it's hard to once you identify it, then you have a little bit of that. Why didn't I see that? I'm psychic. Why
Oh,
didn't I
yeah.
see that?
Yeah.
Whereas your empath kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. And you have to understand through, because that's a big point you brought up, is we as empaths or anybody cannot feel guilty because they were drawn in by these people. You can't feel guilty. You probably didn't even see it coming.
I think that's true right there. You didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I think there's a lesson in there you're supposed to learn too, though.
Yeah, there could be. There could be. Or
Yeah.
it's just that this person is, you know, they don't realize
Good at
they're
what they do.
good at what they do. But anybody could be an energy vampire at some point in time in their life, unintentionally, but they don't
Yeah.
need
I,
it
I
all along.
I
You know what
see
I'm
that.
saying? I mean,
Yeah, I
yeah,
see that. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, we all could have been one at one time,
right, exactly.
depending on the circumstances and situation.
Mm-hmm. So the next one that I think we all have had a lot of experience with, at least I know I have in my life from past experiences. Excuse me if my voice keeps going up and down. Is the narcissist
Yes.
vampire. And the narcissist energy vampire has no capacity at all to show empathy or genuine interest towards other people. They carry the unconscious philosophy of me first, you second, and therefore they will constantly expect you to put them first, feed their egos, and do what they say no matter what. These narcissist vampires will also manipulate you with false charm, the gaslighting that they do, but will just as quickly turn around and stab you in the back when the fancy strikes them because they don't care. That's just
Yes. Yeah.
that's what they
Sometimes
are,
they don't. Yeah. They the only person they care about is them.
Exactly.
So whatever makes them, and that's kind of don't you think that's a common denominator for all the different types of vampires? They just care about themselves.
Uh,
Very self-minded.
they have, yes, they have to try
That
to feed
trait.
their self on everything. Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. Now, if you have a narcissist vampire in your life, you might feel a sense of extreme disempowerment as you feel crushed beneath their limelight and their self absorption. And if you think about that, especially in the workforce, with your colleagues, I mean, a lot of this you can associate with work because I'm sure you've got the martyr victims that you experience every day at work. Everybody does. And so you're dealing with them and how they have to be fed. And then the narcissists are just so self centered and it's all about them and their interests and what they want to do, and they want to control and manipulate you. I mean, you can see where you probably have at least one or two people in your workforce, everybody out there, that you can identify as this type of a vampire. And if you're unable to cut this person out of your life, you definitely have to try to limit contact with them because they could really, really drain a whole lot of energy fast, because you've already been sucked in by them. They put on that charm until they've got you wrapped around their little finger. So I personally find this one to be the one that can be the most detrimental to your energy and yourself in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting about the narcissistic vampire is once you identify it and you cut cords, you will get backlash
Oh yeah, yeah,
from the narcissist vampire. So you need to be prepared for that because how dare you? And
right,
in the workplace where you have to make the decision is I don't care what you tell other people. It's all about me and myself and my sanity and my energy. You're not allowed.
right. Yep. Cutting ties with that narcissist is the best thing that you could do. Whether it's a narcissist personality, like if it's a true narcissist, or the narcissistic vampire, same thing. you have to cut them off as best you can, or you don't feed them. You don't, like when they are trying to draw you in with all their drama and everything's going on, you just let them do their talk and say, all right, are you finished? I'm off. I got other things to do. Because they
Yeah.
hate that, you know?
Yeah. And that is kind of part of the fun once you've identified it with dealing with a narcissist. Because you're not going to be, you got me once, we ain't doing this again. And so your energy level is now higher than theirs when you deal with them.
Yeah.
Because they can't drag you back down again to lower your vibration to make you a much easier victim. Once you've identified it, and you're like, not today. Your energy is like up here, and that irritates them even more, which is kind of amusing. If you have a weird sense of humor like Carrie.
Yeah.
But,
oh, goodness. That's funny. So the next one is the dominator vampire. And they love to feel superior. And like they're the alpha males or females. They're the ones that think that they're above everybody else. And due to their deep inner insecurities of being weak or wrong, that's what they think they are. And that's how they've felt. And therefore they feel hurt. They must overcompensate those feelings by trying to intimidate you. And often these vampire dominators are the loudmouth types of people who have rigid beliefs and everything's black and white perspectives of the world and black and white perspectives of the job. It can only be done one way. It's my way, the highway. You know what I'm saying? And they're often very definite, try to make you to believe exactly what they believe, how they believe, and they look down upon everything else. Whenever you come in contact with these vampires, you have to agree to disagree, because you don't have to feed them, just saying, okay, yeah, you're right. Yep, I agree with you. You just practice your calm assertiveness when necessary and limit the contact, and realize that their attempt to scare you is sourced from their deep fear of being dominated or hurt by someone that feels like they're more powerful than them.
that's the perfect you be you scenario.
Yes,
You be
exactly.
you, I'll be me. Yeah, and they
Yeah,
hate that,
yeah.
which is part of the fun of saying, well, you know what? You be you,
Yep.
and I'll be me, and I don't care what you think.
And like I said, the last example, I can picture from whenever I was working at the bank, because that's where I had a lot of exposure to people just coming in off the street, and you know what I'm saying, a wide variety of customers and workers and stuff like that. And just whenever I was doing the research for this, I could picture, I can remember when I was done working with that person for the day, I was a complete tired, and this is why. I'm starting to really look back and see, oh yeah, I've had an experience with that kind of vampire. That explains a lot. There were some days when I left the bank and I was just totally exhausted just driving home, because it was just such an emotional, draining day. And I can narrow that back to people that are these types of vampires.
Yeah, I think going back and looking at your past, like you just did with working at the bank, I think that it helps you to identify the exact vampires and how they preyed upon you. And I think that can help you going forward when you're going through whatever you're going through in your life, or however that situation transpired. You'll be able to identify and learn from that mistake. Because it's easy to let a psychic vampire in. We've all done it.
Yeah.
Some of us more than once. I can identify a specific psychic vampire attack when mom was battling cancer. We got the diagnosis, and we knew she was dying.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me a prime target for a psychic vampire.
Yeah.
This is a person that had no use for me up until that point. Then all of a sudden, there they were, pretending to care, pretending to, just so they could wiggle in and then do their work.
Mm-hmm.
I think a very key thing to learning is to identify, like look back at memories, like you said, when you felt so drained.
Right.
What was going on at that workplace? Even if it's last week or yesterday, what was going on? Who was around? What was happening? And I think that can help in the future protect you against a psychic vampire.
Right. I agree. So the next one is the melodramatic vampire. I have one of these currently in my life.
I am not a vampire.
I wasn't talking about you.
Sorry, I could resist. I am not.
And, this one's been there for quite a few years, for quite a while.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
it's not going to go anywhere. It's there.
Yeah. It's there.
Yeah, so this melodramatic energy vampire, they thrive on creating problems. And often they need to create constant drama. And that's the product of a deep underlying emptiness in their lives. And the melodramatic vampire also loves seeking out crisis because it gives them a reason to feel victimized, thus special and in need of love. It also allows them to feel an exaggerated sense of self-importance and avoidance from life's real issues. Another reason why the melodramatic vampires enjoy creating drama is that the negative emotions that they feed are so addictive to them, such as anger. So they like to stir the pot.
Well, if they can make you angry, they're instant victim. I don't know
Yeah,
why they lashed out to me. I don't know why. All I said was this, but that, and which is usually somewhat truthful, but not actual truth. It's like,
yeah, exactly. To nurture your own energy while dealing with this type of vampire is to refuse to take sides or be involved in their pot stirring. Pay attention to the patterns in their behavior and the triggers that make you want to get involved, and create that distance and remove them from your life if possible. Like the one I've got in my life, I can't.
no, you can't.
I can limit contact, I can
Yep.
reduce contact. But I think we all know somebody like this. This is the one that's on Facebook or any of the social media, and they're constantly talking about everything in their life, trying to get that sympathy or that pity or that anger from people. That they may post something about somebody else's issues, somebody else is having a problem, and they bring it all about to themselves and their own and their anger, and make it all about them then, so that they can
Yes.
get all the sympathy and the accolades to
Attention.
themselves. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody's got one of them out there they can identify with
Oh,
on that one.
at least one.
At
If not
least.
more.
So then there's the judgmental vampire, and this, due to their severely low self-worth, that judgmental energy vampire loves to pick on other people. Their treatment of others it's merely a reflection of how they treat themselves, and they enjoy preying on your insecurities and bolstering their egos by making you feel small, maybe pathetic, or ashamed of who you are and how you feel about things. They really target you to make you feel that way. I've had some of those in my life too. So,
Yeah.
and if you personally are in such a vulnerable state yourself because of things that might be going on in your life, that's when these vampires come to you. That's when you're the big target. It's when you're at your most vulnerable.
Yeah.
So remember that true self-worth, that must come from within yourself. And you want to refuse to take what that judgmental vampire says personally. Don't take it personally when they give you those little digs trying to make you feel bad about yourself. And be aware that they're in deeper pain and they need to feel good about themselves. So
Yes.
your best defense, when you get defensive, you lose, because that's what they want. That's when they start feeding, is when you start getting all defensive about what, trying to defend yourself against what they're saying. That's when they start sucking out that energy. So keep a balanced head and, try being sweet to them. Just try to, that'll throw them off balance if you say something nice to them whenever they're trying to make you feel bad about you, and reduce or cut off any contact with them. Like any of these vampires. What do you think about that one? Just kill them with kindness.
Yeah, that doesn't always work.
I know.
Because you give them a compliment and they're going to twist it around to whoever else is listening for that need of being with the drama.
Yeah.
I just find severing.
Yeah. Cutting ties.
But that's my personality.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
You're dead to me now.
That's
I don't
right.
care if we work in the same place.
Exactly.
I do not have to talk to you, and I refuse to. Because you have drained enough of my energy.
That's right.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. So the sixth one is the innocent vampire. Now, energy vampires aren't always malicious. That's the case with the innocent vampire. They're not malicious. Sometimes they can be helpless types of people who genuinely need help, such as children or good friends who come to rely on you too much. And that's where that comes in. It's wonderful that when you can help people, really help those you care about. But it's also important that you encourage them to be self-sufficient. And playing the role of the constant rock or support, it'll eventually erode your energy. And as a result, you'll have little energy to support yourself.
And then they'll be mad at you because you're no longer the rock.
Right. So helping those in need is a display of compassion and love, but you also need to remember that you have to love yourself. You have to know when to stop and take care of you.
And it's not being selfish doing that.
Right. You gently have to remind that innocent victim that in your life that you need time to yourself as well. You can't just constantly drop what you're doing to run to their aid or do what they need. That sometimes you just need that time away.
I think all of these vampires do the same thing. That why people still give in to them, because it's easier to give in to them than to get the backlash of whatever it's going to be.
Right.
Where it hurts you in the long run because you're not getting your energy back. If you're not constantly getting your energy back, I mean, what's your aura looking like? Where's your vibration?
Yeah.
Things are going to start to go wrong in your life because you're not putting the energy that you need into your life, and you're not going to be happy because your energy is drained, which is going to invite more lower vibrational things into your life. Mm-hmm. So that self-care is not selfish. It's what you need to do to be healthy and to be you.
Right. And a lot of times some of these energy vampires don't even know that they're doing this. That's what they're doing. How can we identify an energy vampire? Well, you're going to feel things. So you're likely going to be experiencing feelings of being overwhelmed, stressed, physically ill, like headaches and body aches. And I have had that those two in particular, when I've been around the one melodramatic vampire that I have. I actually develop headaches and aches whenever I'm around this person for too long, because it affects me so much whenever I'm near them. You can also develop mental or physical exhaustion, and you become irritable or even anxious. So those are things that you can experience physically whenever you come in contact with them. So if all of a sudden you're starting to feel those things, wait a minute, who am I around? What's going on here?
Yeah, what's going on here? Who's talking to me?
Exactly.
What are they saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you may notice that most energy vampires, they display many similar characteristics.
Yeah, they're like similar layers.
Right.
Different layers,
right.
Similarities between all of them.
Yeah, so they could have characteristics of a big ego, like they love to debate, argue, pick fights. They could be aggressive or passive aggressive tendencies, which I hate the passive aggressive tendencies. They could appear paranoid, resentment and anger issues. They could display narcissism, which we've talked about, and the melodramatic behavior, whining and complaining. Oh my gosh, the whiners and complainers.
Yeah.
They like to gossip. They may have insecurities, display characteristics of insecurity, such as the constant need for reassurance and acceptance. And a lot of people do that. There's a lot of people I know that they like to display, or they display that insecurity, and they are in constant need of that reassurance and acceptance. And then they also display the manipulative they also display
Phenomena.
yeah.
Phenomena. They manipulate you.
Yeah, they use manipulative behaviors like guilt tripping, emotional blackmail, which are the ones that can really suck the stuff out of you, because once you start getting that guilt tripping, you start feeling the guilt tripping and the emotional blackmail upon you. Oh, your energy dive bombs at that point in time, and they're having a feast when that's going on. And also, they display jealousy.
Yes.
So, you have anything you'd like to add based on those?
No, I mean,
No?
I think you nailed it.
Okay. Now,
Good job.
hey, thank you. Now, any energy vampires tend to take more than what they give, of course, because
Of course.
they're not one to give back to you. They need all that. It's also important to understand that energy vampires are not always necessarily human beings, which I thought this was so interesting when I did this research. It says they can also be situations or even personal objects in your life. For example, the internet, the TV,
Yep.
other electronic devices like the radio and mobile phone, public situations, which people don't really think about that. But when you are out in the public, you're out there around people. So they've got to be out there somewhere.
And if you're also unprotected empath, you're really going to be in these environments and being drained.
You're right. The last one that I thought was interesting is animals, such as neurotic pets. Those little yippy dogs and stuff that are all high strung and everything.
Oh.
Pets that have,
Okay.
high energy, or they really require you to give your full attention to them. Neurotic animals. I thought, yes, that has happened to me before too. Been around some people's animals, and I'm just like, I'm done. Have you ever experienced that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm having to think. I'm not around a lot of dogs, so I wouldn't know about the yippy dog. I'm more cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I had a cat in my life that was a vampire. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but there's other types of animals out there that are kind of neurotic, that require your attention all the time. And
Yeah, like the spider that disappears in the car and you don't know where it went.
oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Or
just,
in your bedroom and now you don't know where it's at.
yeah, it was once on your pillow and now it's gone. Yeah, those.
Yeah. Call that a nope. Nope.
Yep, that's a nope. So a lot of those were really interesting when I read those, because yes, crowds and stuff, they're definitely going to be energy drainers on you, that sucking your energy right out of you. But those others I thought were really interesting, and I could see where that makes sense, that they are also energy vampires, sucking your energy away.
And what really amazes me is, and Kim and I were discussing this before we started the podcast, was, when we research these articles, there's so many different articles out there. And it's amazing how, because we always say, go with what resonates with you.
Yeah.
If you're starting to research something and it's not ringing true with you, then maybe that's the energy of the person who wrote it, or that's not what you really need to hear or see at the moment to continue looking. And I pulled something up and I was reading on it and I'm like, oh my gosh, Kim, this is really, I hadn't thought about it this way. And it was really funny because she goes, we're not talking about that on this episode. Like, oh, okay, well, thanks, Spirit, because I learned something I wasn't expecting to learn, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, okay. But it was just, that's what was coming up because I needed to learn something. And we usually, when we do pick a topic, we both get something out of it that was meant for us personally. And it's never the same thing. Like, I get something, she gets something different.
Yeah.
So I think as we've grown with the podcast, we've actually learned so much ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes not what you wanted to learn, but we've learned about ourselves.
Yeah, some things have been a real, oh, sorry, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
you learn a lot about yourself whenever you're doing the research for this, and it really opens up your mind and your heart and perspective on things
Mm-hmm.
from your past and what you're doing now and for your future. So it's really been a journey so far. Really an interesting journey.
Yes.
But
Yes.
getting back
It's
to
been a good
those,
journey.
yeah,
Yeah.
good journey. But getting back to those other things that aren't people on social media all the time, it has grown so much, and there's so many people that are posting things on there, and they're just doing it for the clicks, the likes, the comments that they even get. Those energy vampires are constantly sucking up that stuff. That's their, if they're not around a lot of people all the time, how else are they going to be feeding on their energy that they need to make them feel better or fill that hole or whatever that need is for their vampirism. And social media has just been the biggest source of that type of keeping them satisfied for a while until they can actually come in contact with people and be able to get a good dose of energy coming their way. So those all made sense to me.
Yes.
Okay, off that soapbox.
Okay. Do you have anything else for psychic vampires?
Well, we have ways that we can cope with these vampires. So there's some ways of empowering yourself to handle these energy vampires. One thing is which I found interesting because, well, I'll explain it after I tell you. Stop making prolonged eye contact. And one of the biggest energy absorbers out there is eye contact. And the more eye contact you make, the more you engage with the other person and what they have to say. Only occasional eye contact is necessary with energy vampires. Otherwise, you're giving them the direct access of one of your most precious and limited resources, your energy. So when you think about it, you're instructed in speech classes and stuff like that. Eye contact, eye contact, eye contact. That's how you draw your people in with eye contact. But yet, when you're dealing with somebody that's one of these vampires, you making eye contact is actually opening yourself up to them to drain that energy from you. So when you don't make the eye contact with them, you're actually kind of giving them the message like, I'm done. All right. Okay. I got something better to do. Later. Kind of thing. Have you noticed that?
Well, I don't make eye contact. I try not to make eye contact with people unless it's necessary, because then you have those psychic moments. And if it's a situation that I don't want to have a psychic moment, so I usually avoid eye contact. But in a work setting, you can't. But like if I'm out and about, I try not to make eye contact because I'm sure you've noticed when you do that, then someone's going to walk up and start telling you everything about what's going on in their life, and you don't even know this person, and it's just kind of like, okay, I don't.
Yep,
So
exactly.
I usually, it's like touching people. I try not to take contact with them.
Yep,
you know.
yep, exactly. So limit your eye contact. And then next thing you can do is you can set a time limit, and your time is precious to you. It's not necessary for you to sit around for an hour or two having your energy zapped and your brain numbed. And melodramatic, this is what happens. So according to your own energy levels, set yourself a time limit for how long you are remaining in contact with this person during that interval. If it's somebody that you really need to communicate with at work to get the job done, Clear, concise, to the point, work together, get it done, low eye contact, and then set time limits for a little bit of a break. So you can just go step out of the room for a few minutes, come back, and re-engage. I thought that one was good.
It is good. I'm going to throw in there another thing you could also do, especially when it's at work, is you don't have to communicate with them one-on-one. You can shoot them an email or an instant message if you have Microsoft and have Teams, or whatever your company's instant messaging system is. You can communicate that way, and that's guarding your energy as well.
That is, unless you're required to be face-to-face, one-on-one type of situation.
Right. Yeah, but this is a scenario if you don't.
Right.
Instead of walking over to someone's desk when you don't have to, shoot them an email.
Exactly.
Because when dealing with, especially the narcissistic vampire, your words usually get turned around and used against you. So sending a thought-out email to that person is a little more difficult for them to be able to twist it.
True. It is your receipt of what you said, which is perfect to have for any type of narcissistic situation. So
yes. So in situations at work that if you could get away with not doing, because usually what people do is instead of sending an email, they'll walk over to someone's desk.
Yeah.
And limiting your access, to a vampire, that's the perfect thing is, instant message, Teams them, or just an email. But make sure when you've identified who you're dealing with, if it's a vampire, just kind of read that a couple times before you hit send, just to make sure. Mm-hmm. But that's going to help also, keep your energy.
Right. The next one is learn not to react. And this is kind of a hard one. So within energy vampires, they feed off of your reactions and fueling them to continue interacting with you. So it's important for you to learn how to be neutral in your interactions with them, and that you should carefully monitor how you feel and prevent yourself from expressing overly positive or negative emotions. And too much emotion will let them sink their fangs right into you. They're in heaven then, once they realize that you're starting to show emotion and they can feel it, because that's what they're drawn to.
That's their goal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's their goal.
So you want to always try to put yourself in what's called the gray zone, in which you make yourself so boring and uninteresting that the other person loses interest in you, so they walk away. Yes, that's what I like to use.
Yes. But if you're going to use that technique, though, you do have to do it without sacrificing your self-esteem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
So if you're going to do that technique, you really kind of almost need to make it a comical experience for yourself.
Yep.
Otherwise, because if it sacrifices your self-esteem, they're there again.
Yep, because they'll feel that emotion changing.
Yeah.
They know when that low self-esteem is coming and knocking, so.
Yes. Well, they're good at identifying it before you even do.
Definitely. Yep. Learn not to argue or contradict. It's tempting, I know, but you have to learn just to let them say what they're going to say and just move on.
And keep in mind, if you're going to argue, where is your energy level going to be if you get drawn into an argument? Where's your vibration going to be too?
You're just lowering yourself to their level.
Right. And that's what you need to say. I'm not going to lower myself to their level. It's not worth my energy, my time, my vibration.
Yep.
And you kind of have to, this isn't ego, this is the truth. You need to let yourself know that you're better than this activity.
Mm-hmm.
And that you deserve to be in a better environment. And you deserve better treatment.
Right.
And therefore, you're not going to allow the vampire to do anything. That's not being ego. That's self-preservation.
Yeah. And another thing you can do is when approaching an energy vampire, take other people with you. And this provides you with a powerful buffer and reduces the amount of energy that you personally will be drained from. For this to work, you need to ensure that the additional people aren't psychic leeches either, which is kind of hard to do sometimes to determine.
Yes. Yeah.
But, if you've got people that you can depend on to go with you when confronting, or not even confronting, but in the situation that you're in with this psychic vampire, energy vampire, then that'll help. It won't be just all your energy that's being drained, and it might get you a chance to keep your bubble up so you're not as susceptible to the draining. Also, another one is to listen more than talk. So, energy vampires, a lot of times they simply want and need a listening ear, and the more you talk, the more energy you tend to lose because you're giving it to them, especially if you're an introvert. Guilty. Using short words or questions such as why, when, and how, that only encourages that energy vampire to do most of the talking, which in turn will help you preserve your own energy. So you do the minimal amount of talking, let them go.
I like that technique.
Yes, exactly. They'll eventually talk themselves out,
Yes. Yeah, they will. They
Yep.
will.
Try sticking to lighthearted topics. So your conversations, they don't need to be depressive or oppressive. Take control when necessary and change the topic of conversation to something more light and simple. Like, isn't that a beautiful rainbow out there? Kind of thing. Just make it lighthearted and change it up. That sometimes throws them off and allows you time to recover a little bit, because they have broken that energy sucking for that moment. And visualize. Many people claim that visualizing that protective light and energy shield around us, it helps to deflect that psychic fatigue and maintain a neutral and calm state of mind. So it's important that when you are realizing that this energy vampire is sucking your energy, to try to visualize that bubble, your energy getting stronger coming from above to the ground that we've talked about before. And of course, avoid these people whenever possible,
Yes. Yes.
And finally, to cut off contact. That's the best thing you could do if you're able to. Some situations you can't. You have to be in contact with them no matter what. But, really an energy vampire is someone who is deeply troubled for some reason or another, has very serious emotional problems themselves and stuff like that. So, don't feel hatred towards them. You can feel compassion, because a compassion is a better energy for you, raising your vibration up away from them. But you don't want to, to feel anger towards them, because then they'll feed off of it. And I don't know. We've all have had a moment in our lives where we've probably been an energy vampire ourselves because of what we've been through or what we've been doing. And it's okay. Don't feel bad about yourself neither. Just practice that self-love, self-care, everything. You may even need to see a counselor. You can even recommend that to the energy vampire if it's something where you feel comfortable doing that, but that may have to be something that they have to come upon themselves, which they probably won't.
If you recommend a counselor, they're going to attack you verbally.
Yeah, most
So
likely.
I wouldn't just, yeah, because that's you're inviting, and again you're involving yourself.
Yeah,
because you're acting like you care.
exactly. So, in the long run, energy vampires, yeah, they can suck your energy out of you. They could be anybody. Just try to protect yourself. Be mindful of what you have going on in your life, and work on keeping your vibrations up and your energy high, and keeping your bubble strong.
Okay. Well, I think that was a very enlightening episode. What do you think?
Well, I hope so. I hope it helps people out there.
Me too. Why don't we ready to wrap it up?
Yep, I'm good to go.
Okay. Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning into this episode of PsychicBent. I hope you learned some things as well from this episode. And again, you just shoot us an email if you want. We do read them and enjoy them. Anything else, Kim?
No, that wraps it up for me this time.
Okay. Thank you, listeners. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We can be reached on Facebook at PsychicBent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.